Yo, what's up with it, y'all? It's JD and I'm back with another quick video. Today's video, I'm gonna share with you guys a home workout. I'm out here in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil, and today's a pretty rainy day. It's forecast supposed to be rain all day. Went out earlier, got a run in, a little over 3 miles, like a 5K. Did that in the rain, came back home, decided to get a home workout in today. I've actually been in a slump, honestly, probably for, I don't know, probably the past, I would say probably like the past couple weeks. February is a pretty tough month for me all the way around just because of like some personal things. And a lot of times I think that, you know, the mind, body, and spirit is all connected. So a lot of times when you're kind of in a slump in one aspect of life, it's kind of going to lead to a slump in other areas of your life as well. So, you know, for me, if you guys watch my, you know, some of my previous videos, you saw my stepdad passed away in February, early February. Just had a couple other things going on. Had a shoulder injury, you know, dealing with, you know, relationship stuff going on with women, you know, dealing with that type of stuff's going on. So, you know, all these things combined together, you know, kind of had put me into a funk. So I had kind of got into a momentary state of weakness. And for me, like this all past week, I went out to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and man, I just went on a binge. You know what I mean? Like just all the way around, like smoking weed, drinking heavy every single night, eating a bunch of terrible foods, just completely lost track of my diet. Wasn't really working out like that because I had my shoulder injury. I mean, at the same time, I'm not gonna say I went too far off the deep end because I was still, you know, I got a couple runs in, got a couple workouts in, and, you know, tried to do the best I could. But just to be fair, I was completely binging. And for me personally, you know, when I go on like a binge like that, you know, usually I don't go on a binge for like a week like I just did, but, you know, it's not necessarily something that we need to be ashamed of because, you know, it just happens to the best of us. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're going to be in like a lower state on a physical end, on the mental end, spiritual end, whatever it may be. And, you know, we just kind of, you know, lose control momentarily. But the main thing is that we get the control back. And for me, there's a couple different ways that I like to kind of get myself back on track. You know what I mean? Get myself back on the wagon, so to speak. And number one is going to be with diet. So I just got back to Salvador a couple days ago. Physically, I was still kind of super tired. Like I was going out, staying out probably till like 5, 6 in the morning every single day when I was out in Sao Paulo. I was partying like crazy. Granted, I had a good time out there too. That's another thing I want to say too. Is like a lot of times when we go on these binges, it's not necessarily the worst thing for us. Sometimes these things are like a mandatory thing put in our life to be balanced. For somebody like myself, I take my health super serious. I take, you know, just my mindset super serious, my health physically, mentally, trying to budget my money, you know what I mean? And, you know, I just wasn't even thinking about my spending when I was out there either. So it's just one of these things where sometimes we just kind of got to let ourselves, you know, kind of let our hair down, let loose a little bit, and then reel ourselves back in, you know what I mean? Because physically, honestly, I couldn't even continue to live my life like that. Honestly, this is kind of like the way that I was living when I was in Japan. When I was in Japan, I was drinking every day, I was smoking every day, I was chasing after women, I was, you know, just kind of just living my life like, I don't know, what somebody would consider like that YOLO mentality, you know what I mean? Just like completely just a lack of regard for my health, lack of regard for anything. I was just kind of living like that. But I didn't even go that hard when I was out in Sao Paulo. But at the same time, I definitely let loose. And for me, coming back to Salvador, Bahia, completely different environment, completely different energy out here. It's way more chill, way more slow paced, way more nature oriented. But like I said, it's cool to take a little break from time to time. But you know, the diet is the first way for me to get myself back on track. So one of the first things I did when I got back out here was I made a huge veggie bowl. And for me, that's something that I can eat, you know, probably for like 3 days. I think I put sweet potato in there, beets, purple cabbage, broccoli, and I think I put butternut squash in there as well. And then I was also like cooking up some plantains on the side as well. And then another thing is I went out, bought some oatmeal, bought the stuff that I like to put in the oatmeal, chia seeds, cinnamon, different things of that nature. And basically that's kind of what I'm going to be trying to live off of probably for the next month. I'm also going to probably give myself a month off of drinking, unless something just comes up, life happens and you end up meeting people, whatever. I'm not holding myself to a hard line stance where I'm just like no alcohol for the month. But at the same time, that is my intention, is not to drink for the month. Not to drink for the month, not to smoke for the month. Kind of zone in, focus on myself, focus on getting myself to the healthiest place. Like I said, in all three facets, mind, body, and soul. And for me personally, when it comes down to getting myself at my peak form as far as health, solitude is something that's actually pretty necessary for me. And it's not saying that I don't want to participate in, social activities. It's not saying that I don't want to meet anybody, but I also do need to have like a line drawn in the sand to where it's like I need to have a specific amount of time for myself to focus on certain things that's going to get me back in the right mindset. And for me, I have a clear-cut plan for what I want to do this month, and that's to train as hard as I can without injuring myself, of course, and also create as much content as I can, and also be the best coach I can to the people who I'm coaching up. And I think that now that I'm back in this space in Salvador, and actually I'm in a new apartment, which is way better than the apartment that I was in before, I'm gonna really be able to have, a really good month as far as creating, as far as, getting myself to a healthy place on a mind, body, soul level. But guys, the second aspect of, getting myself back on track and getting back healthy is gonna be actually working out. And I'll probably say the number one way for me to get myself back on track and to cleanse myself from when I go on like a binge is to go running. And, this is a calisthenics channel. I'm gung-ho about calisthenics. I think it's like one of the top ways that you can train. But when it comes down to actual cleansing, I think that number one, if you guys notice, the diet that I'm planning on going on is actually not gonna involve any meat. So I'm gonna be cleansing myself in that way. Number two, when it comes down to when you do a lot of cardio, you're building up your stamina, you're building up your lung capacity, you're sweating a lot, and when you sweat a lot, you're gonna be sweating out a lot of those toxins. And a lot of times, when it comes down to calisthenics or any type of strength training, resistance training, you can actually take it easy to the point where you're not even sweating. You're just pretty much just building muscle. And for me, getting that cardio session in, good cardio in, like that's mandatory when it comes down to a cleanse. And another thing that's good when it comes down to a cleanse, I'll probably say this is like phase number 3, is to get back on my intermittent fasting. I've been slacking on my intermittent fasting like crazy. I just haven't been fasting. I mean, it's kind of hard to fast when you're out drinking till 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, you know what I mean? Next day, in order to get a 16-hour fast, you pretty much have to not eat, you know what I mean? So for me, fasting is something else that I've been doing since I got back, and it's something else I'm gonna definitely get back on the wagon, get back consistent with. And then of course, the resistance training is the next step. Resistance training is important. And today it's a rainy day, so I decided to get a home workout in. This is something that pretty much all of you guys are gonna be able to participate in or be able to do. If you guys are at home, you guys can pretty much do this same workout. Nothing in this workout is too crazy. I mean, I started off the workout doing some handstand push-ups, but I work on handstands every day, so it doesn't matter if I'm doing just a straight fundamental workout, just to get some reps and sets in or whatever it may be. I work on handstands every day, and I usually, if I'm at a park, I try to work on one other skill, whether it be back lever, front lever, or whatever I'm trying to work on. I just get some extra work in with that as well. But guys, I really just wanted to chop it up with you guys today and really just basically let you guys know it's okay if you guys slip up. It's okay if you guys are not in your peak form. It's okay that if you guys are feeling like low energy. It's okay that if you go on a binge. It's okay if you go on a slump. The main thing we have to look at is, do we have a plan in place to get ourselves out of a slump? After we binge, do we have a plan in place to get ourselves back on the right track? And if you guys are looking for, a workout program, if you guys are looking for some one-on-one coaching, you guys can hit up my website. That's Travelsthenix.com. You can either book a free consultation with me, or I have an 8-week program for beginners who have no experience in terms of athletic and fitness stuff, who are just starting from scratch. And I also have a 12-week program for those of you who do have somewhat of an athletic background. You guys can look at the requirements on the website. But also, if you guys would like to work with me one-on-one, I offer one-on-one coaching as well. Don't get too down on yourself. You know, we all slip up from time to time. We all have our moments of weakness. We all can kind of go on a binge, and most importantly, we all have vices, and we need to know what those vices are. I know what my vices are. You know what I mean? I've expressed this on the channel multiple times, and I actually was just chopping it up with somebody earlier today about this, and I was actually chopping up one of my clients. And sometimes I don't even really like to use the word clients, because a lot of times with my clients, we kind of develop a friendship or more of a bond, you know what I mean? To where I don't necessarily like to look at it like, oh, this is just my client. Nah, these people are people who I chop it up with, share a life game with, you know what I mean? I add value into their life, they add value into my life. We both can play the student and the teacher role. So, but like I was saying, I was chopping up with one of my clients earlier today, and he was telling me that he kind of got off track because of the weed smoke. And for me, I was telling him, I was like, man, I kind of got off track because of the alcohol. For me, alcohol is a bigger vice than marijuana is, because for whatever reason, I smoke from time to time. And I actually had somebody in the comment section who was asking me about, what I think about marijuana smoke. I'll probably do a more in-depth video about what I think about weed, and, is there a time and a place for it? I think that if there's a time and a place for alcohol, there could be a time and a place for weed too. So for me, I have more of a vice when it comes down to alcohol. For whatever reason, I enjoy drinking more than I enjoy smoking weed. So for me, if I start drinking, like I let myself go 2-3 days in a row where I'm drinking and I'm having a good time, it's like a snowball effect. Sometimes I can go on for a week, and in previous times in my life, previous chapters in my life, that will go on for months and months and months, and actually years. So we need to be cognizant of what our vices are, what our individual vices are. Women is another one, you know what I mean? For a lot of us, for men, that can be a vice. So we need to be conscious of all these different things. And if we know something is maybe can be something that we don't have a lot of discipline in, we can try to implement some type of discipline when it comes down to that. For me, with the drinking, on a normal, weekly schedule, I try to just drink 1 day per week. And when I do drink, I try to not let myself drink more than like 2 alcoholic beverages in a night. So if I have a beer and I have a mixed drink, or I have a beer and I have a shot, whatever it may be, or I have a couple shots or a couple drinks or whatever it may be, whiskey, whatever, caipirinhas out here in Brazil, I try to keep myself on kind of like a regimen to where I don't let myself get too out of hand with it. And I also, like Monday through Friday, I don't mess around, or it might be Sunday through Thursday, because I might have a drink on like a Friday night or something. So we really need to be cognizant of our vices, and we need to kind of, set boundaries and set standards for how we want to do things. If it's women is your vice, then you need to maybe have something to where you're like, hey, look, I need to just have one woman I'm dealing with at a time. You know what I mean? Even if you're single. Some people look at, oh, if I'm single, I should be able to do whatever I want, but that's not necessarily a good way to go about it. For me, I know I have a problem when it comes down to dealing with women. It's like sometimes when you get into that mode where you're single and you're out dating or whatever, you just want more and more and more and more, and you want more variety and more variety. It's like, oh, I want a Asian chick this time, I want a black chick, I want a Latina, I want, you just want it all. So it's like sometimes when you're a single man, you can kind of get into these modes where you just get super greedy and super gluttonous when it comes down to women. So for me personally, even when I'm single, like for me to be still focused on the task at hand, whether that's my YouTube content creating, or focused on my clients, or focused on my health and my fitness and stuff like that, taking things one at a time is usually a better way for me to go about things. I don't know about how you guys are, but for me, even when it comes down to obviously being in a relationship or being single, I think taking things, easier and simplifying our life is usually the best route to go. But anyways, guys, one more thing before I bounce out. I'm actually gonna create a Patreon channel, just because I don't want to solely rely on YouTube as a platform for myself to have my content. Also, I want to get into more like, probably kind of talks like how I'm talking right now, except more in depth, like I said, when it comes down to talking about, things like smoking weed, or when it comes down to talking about women. Some of things I don't necessarily really want to talk about on YouTube. YouTube's a cool platform because it has a big reach, but at the same time, some topics are pretty touchy on YouTube. So I'm gonna be creating a Patreon to where I can get like a little bit more raw and uncut with the things that are, on my mind, or, my belief system, or whatever it may be. Also, I kind of want to add something in for Patreon members in terms of like, whether it be like a diet plan or something like that I can add on there, or maybe some type of like fitness thing. I'll figure something out, but I'm gonna create a Patreon account, and hopefully you guys join on there so you guys can see some of the other content I have in store, and some of the other content that I've actually wanted to create. I've actually had some topics that I've actually wanted to touch on, when it comes to a variety of different things. But anyways, guys, hope everybody's having a great day out there. I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.